Daf Tes Amud Aleph will begin Ches Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. Amar of Chista Kol Moedem Vivein Lechayayim She'aser. Everyone agrees that between the lechis it's also to carry. We previously had a machlokes if under the kaira, can you carry under the kaira? So we had a machlokes, but everyone is moeda that between the lechis you cannot. Even the one that says that under the kaira it's mutter, between the lechi it's also the Rishonim speak out, because a kaira has to have a minimum width. It has to have a minimum width and a minimum strength. A lechi can be a minimal post. So if you can carry between the lechi, you can easily come to carry outside into the Rishus Harabim. Therefore, everyone is moeda that it's also. Boy mine Rami Bar Chama Rav Chista. Rami Bar Chama had the following shaila from Rav Chista. What in the case of not shtei you say this b'shnei kaisle malvi b'bachutz ve'niach keral gabeim mao? What would be the din of a person, as opposed to the normal case where the kaira extends into the malvi? What if a person put 2 pegs on the outer edges of the malvi and put the kaira this way, so that the inner edge of the kaira is abutting the walls of the malvi, but the kaira protrudes outside, as opposed to normally that the kaira extends inside, it protrudes outside? Is this a valid kaira or not? What is the din? He said, well, in the previous discussion we had about can you carry underneath the kaira, we had one mandomer that said that it's also, one that says it's mutter. The one that says that it's mutter says that the kaira, we view that the edge of the kaira, now when mechitza extends down, it's the outer edge. Well, if the outer edge extends down, that mechitza means the mechitza is here. That means underneath the kaira, you're within the mechitza, it's mutter. The other mandomer says, no, it's the inner edge that we view extending down. And therefore, if it's the inner edge, this area here is outside the mechitza, and you can't carry under there. Now, as far as this discussion works, it's just the opposite. If you say that it's the inner edge that extends down, therefore you have a mechitza which closes up the malvi. But if you say it's the outer edge that extends down, well, the mechitza is here, and it doesn't enclose the malvi because the mechitza is further out, so it doesn't enclose the malvi, and therefore it's not a kosher kaira, and the malvi you can't carry in the malvi at all. Rashi Bavor says, well, even if you say that it's the outer edge, a kaira is within 3 tvachim, then why don't you say that lovud and extend it in? Rashi said that's only if it's an actual physical mechitza, but over here it's only an imaginary mechitza. We view it as a mechitza. You can't say lovud on an imaginary mechitza. So that's what Rav Chista said. The divrei hamatir, he said, Amar l'divrei hamatir also, l'divrei oiser is muter. Rava Amar l'divrei oiser nami also. Rava says, even according to the mandomer who's also, he says it's also. Even if you say that the inner edge is the pitikra, is the chuda hapnimi, it's still also, because being in kaira gabi movileka, in order to have a hechsher of a kaira, it has to be on top of the movi. You can't have a kaira extending beyond the movi. In order to be kosher, it has to be within the movi. That's the way a kaira is machsher. A kaira can't be machsher if it extends beyond. He asked him, you're telling me that the kaira has to be within the movoi. And Rice says, if you had the case where it was mishucha or tluya, if you had a case where the kaira was either meshucha, was extended from the meshucha away from the movoi, or was suspended between them. So we'll see what that means in a minute. If it's within gimel, ein sorach lavi kara acheres. You don't have to bring another kaira. But if it is gimel, if it is 3 tvachim or more away, sorach lavi kaira acheres. You have to bring another kaira. This kaira is not valid. So what is this case over here? So Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, however, equalities over Pachs Midalit. Now, each Gola Shitosai that the Tanakama holds that Gimel is Lovid, you say Gimel within Gimel Lovid. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says that within Dalit is Lovid. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel over Pachs Midalit ain't Sorach Lavi Karacheres. Dalit Sarach Lavi Karacheres. My love, Meshucha Mibachutz Utluya Mibifnim. Doesn't it mean that Meshucha is outside and Tluya is inside? So it says Meshucha or Tluya. So let's say it's on a pegs or on a pole in the middle, or there's a pole and it's resting on a pole over here or on pegs, then it says Meshucha or Tluya. So it could be perhaps one case is that there's a distance here. It's not resting right on the wall. There's a distance here between the kair and the wall. That's one case. Or the other case is perhaps either there's pegs extending outside, or perhaps you have a case where you have a post and there's a post and it's resting on the post over here, but it's 3 tefachim away from the walls. So, aren't we talking, it says Meshucha or Tluya. It says Meshucha, that it's outside and drawn away, and Tluya is suspended. Aren't we talking where either it's suspended on pegs or a post, and it's within 3, according to Rav Shimon Gamliel, 4, as long as it's within 3, it's kosher, because we say lavud. And if it's suspended on the outside, either through a post or some sort of pegs, then we say that as long as it's within 3, then, or 4, according to Shimon Gamliel, that it's also kosher, because we would say lavud. And even though the kaira is not resting on the walls of the molvi. So doesn't that show us that it does not have to rest on the walls of the molvi like Rava said? When it says no, it has to be within the molvi. A kaira cannot be outside the molvi. So what does it mean? What's the difference between Meshucha and Tluya? Meshucha miruchachas and Tluya mishnei ruchais. Meshucha or Tluya, it has to be within the inside. But Meshucha, it's drawn away from one side, 3 or 4 tefachim. So as long as it's within 3, it's kosher, we would say lavud. According to Shimon Gamliel, 4, we would say lavud. That's one side. Tluya is if it's on pegs or on a post and there's a gap on both sides. On both sides. Again, as long as with each side, on each side it's within 3 or 4, then it's kosher because we'll say lavud and it's extended. So Meshucha is one side, Tluya is 2 sides. What's the difference if it's one side or 2 sides? So I might have thought about the same Meruchachas Amina Lovid. Mishnei Ruchais Amina Lovid Kamash Malan. You might have thought that we say Lovid only extending on one way, but extended both ways we won't say Lovid. That's why Kamash Malan says Meshucha and Tluya says both cases. Ravashi Amar Meshucha V'hi Tluya. Ravashi says it's Meshucha V'hi Tluya. V'hechi Domi. It's not 2 cases, it's 1 case. It's Meshucha, which is Tluya. So what is the case? V'hechi Domi ki goin shenoz shtei yisayis akumais al shnei kaislei amovi shem legoyven gimel vein bak mimusan gimel. Ma would say ma oy lovid amina chovid amina but lovid chovid loy amina kamash malan. We're talking in a case where it's all within the movi. The clear can't be outside the movi, it's within the movi. But you have 2 things going on. It's extended from the wall laterally, but also in the height. So you have pegs that are bent. So you have the pegs extending out from each side that are bent. The kair is resting here. So now it's extended from the wall laterally, but it's also extended in the height. And you'd have that on 2 sides. So you have these pegs on 2 sides. It's holding up the kaira, which is higher than the walls and extended from the side of the walls. Now, to say to extend this laterally, you say lovid. To extended down, you'd say chavut, extended down. We have to view the kaira as being resting on the walls of the mavoi and extending from side to side. So you might think that to say one imaginary extension, we would say. You might say that, okay, to say lavud laterally would say that. Or to say chavut, we would say that as well. But to say both, perhaps we wouldn't. Kamash malan. That's the chiddush over here, that we would say even both. Tane Rav Zakai coming Rav Yochanan. Rav Zakai taught in front of Rav Yochanan. Bein l'chayim. If the area between a lechi v'tachas a kaira or under the kaira needing a karmelis, we judge it as a karmelis, and therefore you cannot carry in those areas. So the area underneath the kaira, he says, is like I can't carry there. Between opposite the lechi, you can't carry there. It's needing a karmelis. We judge this area as a karmelis. It's also to carry a karmelis. It's also to carry in these areas as well. Amar Rav Yochanan said to him, Puktana Livra, go teach this outside. It's not correct. Amar Abai said, Mistabra Milsid Rav Yochanan Tachas. That where Rav Yochanan said it's not correct, he says, Mistabra, it's only the area under the kaira. Under the kaira is permitted. That he argues with. But Aval Bein Lechayayin also, but the area opposite the lechi, he would agree that it's also. He would agree that it's also. As we learned before, as we said before, that opinion that the lechi is a minimal width, so therefore a person can easily come to carry into the Rishus HaRambam, as the Rishonim speak of. And therefore, in that area, he would agree that it's also. It's only under the kaira that he said that it's mutter. That's what Abai holds. The Rav Omar, he says, no, ben l'chayam nami mutter. He said, he would say that even opposite the lechi, it's also mutter. From where do I know this? And he said, if you have an area that's less than dalet al dalet, Rishus, then that area over there, if it's less than dalet al dalet, mutter lebnei Rishus HaRambam, lebnei Rishus HaYachid lekasef alav. It's mutter for both the Rishus HaYachid and the Rishus HaRambam to mikatev. So, let's say you have the street here. You have a sort of threshold outside the house. Between the street and the house, there's this threshold. And it's not dalet al dalet, so therefore it's a malkam patur. So therefore, people from the Rishus HaRambam can put their loads on this threshold, and people from the house can put things on the threshold. It's a malkam patur. So there's no isser to transfer from one Rishus to that malkam patur. They're both mutter to put their loads there and place their loads or adjust their loads there, so long as they don't transfer it from one Rishus to the other, so long as they don't take it from the Rishus HaRambam, put it on the threshold, and then bring it into the street, into the house, or vice versa, from the house to the threshold and onto the street. Because that midrabanan is also because it looks like you're being transferring from the Rishus HaYachid to the Rishus HaRambam, or vice versa. But otherwise, it's mutter. Now, the area between the underneath the kaira or opposite the lechi is not a significant area. It's less than dalet al dalet, so therefore it should be considered Rav Yochanan l'shit also like a malkam patur and should be mutter. Abai, who says that no, that opposite the lechi is also Abai asam begavaya gimel. Over there it's mutter because the threshold is 3 off the ground. So therefore, it's clearly different and identifiably distinct from the other rishuyas. But over here, you're talking about an area over here that is now, this area is flush. This area here is flush with the street. If you allow him to carry here, he can easily just carry it onto the street. There's no demarcation, and therefore, he would say, in this case, it's awesome. Rabbi says, what's my raya that it's also? Because if you have an area Teicha Pesach, so for instance, if you have a mavoi, and in the mavoi, they made a Pesach on the mavoi. So the mavoi has now an entranceway. So now, in this area over here, where it has an entranceway, he says, Toicha Pesach, Sorach Lechi Acher Latir. It needs another lechi to be matir carrying in it. You need another lechi, you have to put a post over here to be matir it. There needs Sorach Lechi Acher Latir. Now, the movi itself is mutter because it has this source of Pesach. So the movi is mutter. But to carry over here, you need another lechi. So doesn't that show you that opposite the lechi, it's also to carry? You have to put another lechi in order to be matir it. Now, maybe you'll say that this area is dalet al dalet. It's a significant area, and that's why you need another lechi, but otherwise it would be mutter. I v'amor of Chanim Barab. He said, Toicha Pesach, Apel Bisha Ein Boy Dalet al Dalet Tzorach Lechi Latir. Even if it's not Dalet al Dalet, you need another lechi to be matir it. So doesn't that show you that otherwise, without a lechi, it's awesome? So Rabbi says, that's my raya, that minastam, opposite a lechi, is awesome. But V'Rov, he says, awesome, the basuch lekarmos. Yes, that's true, but this case is talking where the area outside over here is not a Rishus Ram, it's a Carmelis. And therefore, in that case, you need another lechi. But if it would be a Rishus Harabim, you would not. For the Gemara, well, the Rishus Harabim, my sure, you mean to say that if this would be a street Rishus Harabim, then you don't need another lechi? How can that be? Yitzia Ba'ara V'Giyur B'Shmei Shemaya. The citizen, he's on the ground, and the ger, the stranger, he's on top. Meaning, there's all the more reason to aser on a Rishus Harabim. That's where it's carrying as a deraisa. So you're telling me that if there's a Rishus Harabim over there, you don't need another life. But we're more machmir that if outside there's a Carmelis, we're more machmir on this area. If that's a Carmelis here, we should be more machmir on the Carmelis, which is also midrabanan over a Rishus Harabim, which is an issa deraisa. He says yes. He said yes. Motzamin esmin avenir. Because if this is a Carmelis, and this is a Carmelis, Matzah Minas Mia, they join together, they become one area, and now it becomes a one big Carmelis. Then Matzah Minas Mina Veneer. If we have the area over here between them, and this is a Carmelis, we can say that this becomes an appendage to this area. They join together and they become as one. But if you say that this is a Rishus Harabim over here, this is a distinct area. This area and this area over here are distinct areas. They're totally different. This is a Rishus Harabim, it's an Isser Deraisa, and over here, this area is a Malkum Patur. Now this area is a Malkum Patur, and it would be, or a Carmelis, and it's not part of this area. So when you say that there's a Carmelis over here, you'll say Matzah Minas Minoi Veneer, and it awakens. So it becomes part of this area. But if this area is a Rishus Harabim, it's distinct. This is distinct from this area, and therefore it's not joined with that area, and therefore the din is different.